Welcome, everybody. The college football season is approaching, which means it's time for some preseason content. I'm Joe with Gamehouse, and today we're taking a look at some awards predictions for the college football season. All right, as mentioned, we're going to go over some college football awards predictions today. We're a couple of weeks out from the start of the season, so we wanted to get this out before the season starts. I think a lot of these predictions won't be what you typically see on a lot of different websites. I try to make it a little bit different, not pick the same players every year, and I think a lot of that goes into voter fatigue too, which we'll get into here. As we start with the Heisman Trophy, which is awarded to the most outstanding player in college football. My pick is Quinn Ewers out of Texas. I think he played really well last year at points. They obviously had some injuries after the Alabama game. Made it tough, I think, to come back, but with their wide receiver room, offensive line, and all the expectations around Texas, if they win the Big 12 and start getting that hype of the Texas is back, coming back, that just boosts his chances of winning the Heisman. Quickly going into other candidates, though, we have Caleb Williams. Winning it twice in a row is going to be tough. It's never been done before besides Archie Griffin way back when at Ohio State as a running back. No quarterback has won it twice in a row, or two times in a career even. And you can go to someone like Michael Penix out of Washington, but the Heisman Trophy, if you're not a quarterback at USC on the West Coast, it's kind of tough to win. We're going to get to Michael Penix, as you can see in the next award here. Go Drake May at UNC. Might be hard for him to get enough wins at North Carolina or enough notoriety, being that it's not the biggest program, and that defense might let him down. So plenty of places you can go here. I also like the Marvin Harrison Jr. play. His high school quarterback stepping in at Ohio State, Kyle McCord. He's going to put up big numbers. He's probably the most talented player in college football if you're ranking them. Him and Caleb Williams probably 1, 2 in whatever order you're trying to do. But he'd be a good bet. Just wide receivers don't often win the award. It's intriguing that Devontae Smith won it a couple years ago. But, I think I'm going to go Quinn Ewers here. It's a little bit of more of a long shot pick. But as we've seen, it doesn't – the consistent winners aren't going to win again all the time. And also – guys who are heavily favored for the Heisman don't always win it. We've seen Devontae Smith come out of nowhere, Joe Burrow at LSU in his last season there in 2019. So go Quinn Ewers. Probably be wrong. Might be that he's benched in week 3 or 4 for Arch Manning or Malik Murphy, but that's what we're going with for right now. The Walter Camp Award, which goes to the Player of the Year. This is the one I decided to give to Michael Penix. These very similar to the Heisman Trophy in terms of they're for the best player in college football. Basically, that's what we're doing here. But it doesn't always go to the same player. Sometimes there's some overlap, but a lot of times it's this guy wins the Heisman, this other guy wins the Walter Camp Award. One with Michael Penix, quarterback at Washington, had 11-win season with them last year, struggled with injuries in Indiana. I think he can have another good season. Kalen DeBoer is doing a good job at head coach at Washington. If they make a push for the Pac-12 championship, I think he could be the guy who wins it. I would also say Caleb Williams is in line to win this award this year. If he has a year that comes just short of the Heisman or even wins the Heisman again, he could be the Player of the Year. But again, I didn't want to pick the same players over and over again, and I think the voter fatigue is a real thing that we see in a lot of these awards that media votes on. All right, we'll move on to the Bednarik Award for the Best Defensive Player. I'm going Harold Perkins out of LSU. Insane freshman season all over the field. He was able to pick up a lot of tackles, a lot of sacks as a linebacker. I think he really built up his name a little bit in his first year, and now he can take another step forward this year. Still just a sophomore, so he's not even draft eligible, but I like what I see out of him already. You could go somewhere else with this, like Jared Verse, edge rusher out of Florida State, if he has another big year. Guys that like Junior Colson, who's at Michigan, who might make the playoff again, a good linebacker for them, that he could be a pick as well. But I do think Harold Perkins probably has the best case heading into the season, and he's just got to live up to it. He does have some help in the linebacker room from Omar Spates, who's transferring in from Oregon State, so maybe that takes away a little bit of the production from him, and that could really cause his Bednarik Award chances to go down. But he's a very, very good player at the very least. The Blitnikoff Award for the best wide receiver. Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State didn't win it last year. Jalen Hyatt did. And I think he's going to want to win it this year. I think they want to get to the playoff again. He got knocked out of that game against Georgia, and I think he wants to help rectify that situation. Again, high school quarterback coming in. I think a lot of the production is going to go through him, and as it should. I mean, such a big receiver, but also very technically refined. So I'm going Marvin Harrison there. I don't think that's too much of a reach. That's probably the most on-the-money pick I probably could have had for one of these awards. All right, the Bronco Nagurski Award for the best defensive player. Again, much like the Heisman and the Walter Camp, it's not always the same winner of both awards. So for this one, I did go Jared Verse out of Florida State. He would have been a top 5-ish pick last year in the NFL draft. Decided to return to school at Florida State. He's going to be pressuring the quarterback a lot. He already transferred in from Albany to Florida State this past season, so now he gets to take that to the next level. Second year with Florida State, some more comfortability. Florida State has some very big expectations this year. He can be a reason why they get to that point. The Broyles Award for the best assistant coach, we're going Garrett Riley from Clemson. Clemson's had some down years the last couple of years with winning double-digit games but not making the college playoff, and a lot of that has to do with the offense. A lot of the blame goes to DJ Uiagalelei, who transferred out to Oregon State, the quarterback. They have a new quarterback, Cade Klubnik, who looks really talented as well. But I think Garrett Riley's the key here. I think there were some things on offense that just weren't clicking for any quarterback that would have been playing. And I think having Garrett Riley will help. He helped TCU get to the national championship game last year with his offense. Really helped Max Duggan come into his own. So I'm going to go Garrett Riley there. Not a unique pick either for that one, but I do think it's warranted to say if he fixes his Clemson offense, he's going to be given a lot of credit. All right, the Burlsworth Trophy, which goes to the best player who started his career as a walk-on. I'm going Treshaun Ward out of Kansas State. He started as a walk-on at Florida State. Played a couple of years there, and he was part of that three-headed rushing attack last year at Florida State, and now he's transferring to Kansas State. I expect him to get a lot of work. As you can guess, the pool of who could be selected for this award is very limited. Obviously, the last couple of years we've had Stetson Bennett who made headlines, but former walk-ons aren't just out there in I guess multitude of players. It's a couple players, and Treshaun Ward I think can have a really big year. For Kansas State, they lost Deuce Vaughn to the NFL. I think he can step in and make some plays for him. So he is my pick for the Burlsworth Trophy. The Butkus Award, best linebacker. We already talked about Harold Perkins, so we're gonna go with him again for the best linebacker. The Davey O'Brien Award, we'll go Caleb Williams. I mean, we talked about him possibly winning one of the two other awards, the Heisman or the Walter Camp, but I do think there is something to be said. He should probably be selected somewhere. Winning the Heisman 2 years is just very tough. So he definitely deserves respect as probably college football's most exciting player last year, and likely going to be the most exciting player this year. So we'll have him on the list as the Davey O'Brien Award winner. Although there's some other guys, as mentioned with the Heisman Trophy, even guys like Jordan Travis of Florida State who can get in the conversation too. The Doak Walker Award for the best running back. We're going Quinshon Judkins out of Ole Miss. Insane freshman season last year. Really took the bulk of the carries when they had Zach Evans transfer from TCU, Ulysses Bentley transfer from SMU, and he just stepped up as a freshman and did the work. Think he could have a really big year for them once again. And I do think some of the other talented running backs, you got Blake Corum coming off an injury from Michigan. He's also going to be splitting more time with Donovan Edwards this year, so that could really hamper his ability to win the best running back in the country award. Travion Henderson from Ohio State. He's coming back from a year where he had a bunch of injuries and also a shared backfield. Ole Miss proved last year they're going to give him the ball, and the best offense they have is just handing it to him. So I think that's something to note, that he should get a lot of work and should be productive for him and possibly win this award. The Eddie Robinson Award for the National Coach of the Year. We're going Kalen DeBoer out of Washington again. Michael Penix, we talked about them. They won 11 games last year. If they push for that Pac-12 championship again, they can do good things, and both of them can win awards, and I think he could be Coach of the Year. This is more of a tough one to predict because we always see guys who come out of nowhere win this award, and that's just too hard to predict most years. We weren't talking about Sonny Dykes and TCU coming out of nowhere last year, but I do think Kalen DeBoer could win Coach of the Year if he gets maybe Washington in the playoff talk or wins the Pac-12 and just has a very good season. And then the George Munger Award, again, best head coach. We're just going to split it up because those hardly go to the same person as the two National Coach of the Year, best head coach. Never go to the same person, really. At least a lot of times it doesn't. So Mike Norvell out of Florida State, he's gotten him on the cusp of being better this past year. Went 9-3, hit the transfer portal hard for some help. He's got Jared Verse back. He's got Jordan Travis. He's got Trey Benson at running back. If he can push through and make a playoff, I think he could possibly push for best head coach. But again, these awards a lot of times are based on who can surprise the most rather than who might did the best job. All right, the best tight end. Pretty on the nose here, too. Brock Bowers out of Georgia. He does a little bit of everything. He runs the ball for him. He catches the ball. He's the best tight end in college football. Unless he gets injured or unless Georgia's offense just changed offensive coordinators because Todd Monken went to the NFL, really changes, he's probably going to win this award. overall. I do think there's some exciting other players at the tight end position, like Trey Knox at South Carolina, who's transferring in, Jaheim Bell, who transferred to Florida State, and more of an all-around player too. Like he runs the ball too, but I do think Brock Bowers can win this one. Lou Groza Award for the best kicker. We're not going to spend too much time on kickers, but Harrison Mevis out of Missouri's hit some big kicks in his career, so that's just one to note there. Maxwell Award for the best player. Quinn Ewers here as well. Again, there's some overlap on, you don't win every award if you're the Heisman. If you're the Heisman, you don't always win all the awards of best player or what everything else, the best quarterback. But we'll give him another award here. I think, again, he could have a really big season with the wide receiver room he has specifically and the offensive line. And if they win the Big 12, I mean, Texas is going to be winning a lot of awards as that's, the media kind of gets shifted that way. The Outlander Trophy for the best interior lineman goes to Cooper Beebe out of Kansas State. Could have went to the pros last year, decided to return. Experienced guy. He's played tackle and guard. I think he's going to play guard this year. And I think he can do a really good job in helping Kansas State kind of stay afloat, maybe compete for another Big 12 championship. I don't know if they'll exactly get there, but having him back and having quarterback Will Howard there can certainly help. The Paul Hornung Award for the most versatile player. Travis Hunter has to be the pick for me. I mean, transferring in from Jackson State, obviously went there to follow Deion Sanders and then followed him to Colorado. Played corner and wide receiver there, was the top recruit in the country that year. And now he's going to Colorado where I think he's going to be used on both sides of the ball, maybe on returns too. We'll see if that comes to fruition, but definitely on both sides of the ball. He's going to be a shutdown corner. I think he can get open as a wide receiver. Deion Sanders has that history of being a two-way player. Travis Hunter can do the same at the FBS level at the very least. The Jim Thorpe Award for the best defensive back. We went to Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama. Gotten a lot of experience over the last year or two at Alabama. And a very good corner who's capable of shutting down top receivers on the other team. On top of that, he has a really cool name, Kool-Aid McKinstry. If that can't win you an award, I don't know will. But I do think if you have a cool name, it does help your chances of media members voting for you, so we'll give it to him. The Ray Guy Award for the best punter. Again, we won't spend too much time on it, but Jeremy Crawshaw had a good year last year, so we're going to give it to him this year. And then the Remington Trophy. I spelled trophy wrong there on the article, but best center. Cedric Van Pran out of Georgia. Again, another guy who could have gone pro, decided to return. Been a player on 2 national championship teams. If Georgia does really well again this year, he could be a three-peat champion in college football. You just don't hear those very often, and he'll be a big reason why. So let me know who you think are going to win some of these awards in the comments below. You have my picks. We have a little bit of time left before the college football season, so plenty of time to get those picks in as we can move forward. For now, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.